Well, I had this wonderful video for you folks of how to do COVID-19 analysis using Excel or Libre Office Calc or Open Office or something like that. Uh, Wonderful thing, how to do Ohio, New York, and New Jersey. Then when I went to look at the end, I forgot to start the video. So I'm going to. The good news is this rerun of the video is going to be a lot shorter than than the first one because I'm not going to go back and actually redo all the numbers. Okay. But anyway, let's start out here. Let's start with Ohio. First of all, let's take a look at the Ohio news. I did not know this. Ohio Governor DeVine announces a statewide curfew as COVID-19 cases spike. That is true. That's definitely true. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has announced a new curfew as the state faced a COVID-19 surge. The curfew will run from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. for 3 weeks. We believe this will help reduce the spread. But it's a curfew and not a complete lockdown, so the answer is no, it's not. The curfew doesn't apply to people going to work or getting groceries or food, and it is not intended to stop people from going to a hospital, DeWine said in the press Thursday, urging common sense around a curfew. So basically, it isn't going to do anything. So let's first of all, let's take a look at our data. The data comes from, let's take a look where the data actually comes from, so you can go and grab it yourself. You want to search for New York Times, uh, New York Times COVID-19 data, something like this. Oops, COVID-19, yes, New York Times COVID-19 data on GitHub. And here it is. Okay, you come here, you do a zip. The zip file just gives you a file. Looks like that. You look inside, that's where you see the data. Okay? Okay. So the one we're interested in is the US states. Okay. So I came back, so I opened this in US states data in Libre Office Calc. You can use Excel or Google Sheets, whatever you want to use. And then I got rid of it and opened it like this. I also changed the dash to a slash because Excel seems to like, or spreadsheets seem to prefer the slash date format. Okay. So I came up here to sort by dates. Okay. Then I came up here, used auto to select the dates, the data for what I wanted to do. Right. Copy and pasted that over to here. All right. So you got date, cases, deaths, daily cases. Daily cases is calculated by subtracting yesterday's numbers from today's numbers. And then I just drug the formula all the way down. Same thing here. You simply check yesterday's dates from days, and I drag the formula all the way down. Moving average is a 14-day moving average. You basically pick a start date and end date for 14, take an average of the whole thing, put that in the first one here. Okay? Then drag that all the way down to copy that formula. Then when you get to the bottom down here, let me show you this first of all. Okay? Let's come back over here. Okay. So as I said, daily cases is just doing equals, subtract that. Okay. Then you can drag this formula all the way down, and then drag it across to the deaths column. Now you got your deaths. Moving average is simple. You take the first 16, you average the first 16 numbers, okay, and that's your first six. Or you take an average of the first 14 numbers, okay. Okay, so there you go. So the average of the first 14 numbers is 27. Then you simply just drag this formula all the way down, right? So you do an average here. Use an average function here, okay? Get your first average. That's this here. Then what happens is then you take an average of these 14 numbers and these 14 numbers over here. And that's basically what happens over here then, okay? That's the moving average for cases. Same thing for death. Same thing for deaths. Uh, the mortality rate is just is daily deaths divided by daily cases. Okay. Now the advantage over here is with this method over here is you can pick your date range. Okay. So this is the full data set for Ohio. Honestly, cumulative cases, in my opinion, cumulative cases and cumulative deaths aren't really that helpful. But we can certainly look at daily cases here. See the daily cases are spiking up. They're even up. They're even outperforming the moving average. Okay. Cumulative deaths, again, not that helpful. Daily deaths. Okay. Mortality rate. Mortality rate is probably averaging 2 to 4%. But let's say we want to actually come over here. This is 5. Let's say we only want to take the data from. Let's say we only want to take the data from six on June 1st onward. Okay, so we can do this. So we just come down in here, and now we can see the numbers down in here a little closer. A little better picture of deaths. Okay. Now we could conceivably use. Okay, so here you can see we got the deaths in Ohio are kind of flat. Okay, they're kind of flat right now, which is kind of curious. Yeah, yes, we got a problem with cases spiking, but even so, there's only 8,000 cases in one day. Uh, so this is and so it's the high deaths by day. Now we take a look at the mortality rate. You can see the mortality rate in Ohio as for the last week or two, as of so we say September onward, the mortality rate has dropped below 2%. Okay, so that takes care of Ohio. Okay, let's take a look at New York now. Let's take a look and see what New York says. No singing. New Jersey. Okay. What I want to show you for New York is I want to show you this New York the methodology. Now look at this. Starting with the data for August 6th, we are switching to reporting deaths in New York State by county of residence instead of the county in which the death occurs. So basically what this is going to do, we're going to skim some deaths off of New York County. That's really what this is about. They're going to skim deaths off of New York County and reassign them to the county residents. Of course, they're only doing it for New York State, which means that their methods are wrong. Of course, this will make New York County look much better. Now, it won't affect the total numbers, but it will affect some numbers. And maybe that's where those negative numbers come from. Maybe that's where they're moving people to a different county or something like that. But anyway, I personally think this is a bunch of crap. Okay? All right? Now let's take a look let's start up here. So now here, let's take a look here. Okay, the New York numbers, you can see a spike here, then it flattened out, spike here, then it flattened out. So now we can take a look at deaths for cases, daily cases. You can see the moving average here. These numbers are well above the moving average. Oh, sorry, I got a little distracted, some background noise there. Okay, so you can see there is an increase in cases. Okay, but deaths appear to be flat, which is kind of interesting. Okay, which is kind of interesting. Okay, if you look at mortality rate is under 5%. So let's come up here. Let's zoom into about July 1st. Okay, okay. So now you can see a little better picture of what's going on as far as cases. They are spiking up in New York, about 6,000 a couple of days ago. Deaths are staying below this. So this line here is about 20 deaths per day, spiked up. So that really isn't that much of a. That really is the deaths are still looking pretty good. Okay, for a state the size of New York. Once again, we're concerned with this here. This is 1%. This is 2%. So you can see the number of days mortality rate for a number of days was under 2%. Okay. So overall, again, it's. Let's take a look at one more thing. I just want to show you one more thing. And this is. I know I sound like a broken record, but I just think this is. I just think this is an incredibly important thing to understand. Daily deaths is the best indicator of the progression of a pandemic. So what that means is, that means cases are not that important. Cumulative deaths aren't that important. Hospital beds aren't that important. Okay? Yet well, yet everybody wants to talk about cases. Okay? Even if the mortality rate is incredibly low, like it is right now in New York. Deaths 20 per day. A couple days, you know what it was, so well, actually it crossed above the 1,000 threshold about on October the 5th. But it does appear to be some drop back down here. So overall, New York, in my opinion, overall New York isn't doing that bad. Okay? Okay. New York COVID-19 news. Anything exciting here? Governor Cuomo updates New Yorkers and the state's progress on pandemic. Second wave surge on tip of Rockway's 5 New Jersey areas, about 5% positivity. 5%, and you're panicking. As usual, the people are panicking. What about New Jersey? Now we come to New Jersey, okay? This may be the best of all. No singing. New Jersey share guidelines for safe Thanksgiving events if you still must hold one. Of course you must hold one. Okay? Of course you must hold one. Jeez. Okay. Same situation. Once again, some negative numbers. Negative numbers. Okay, so finally let's take a look at New Jersey, New Jersey, as some would say. Again, this is kind of nice. It's a steep incline here, followed by a flattening of the curve, but now it's starting to pick back up again. This is kind of strange. I'm not quite sure why this distinct bump here. Okay, but now let's take a look at cases. Cases are spiking in New Jersey, as you can see right here. Again, uh, but deaths are flat. Deaths are flat. Mortality rate is flat. Mortality rate is. So let's come down here. Let's say let's just go to 7-1. Let's just zoom in now to a little closer. So you can see there's a surge in cases up above 4,000 on one day. It broke above the 1,000 mark here about mid October. Take a look at deaths, but look at the deaths. The deaths are still under 50. Okay, the deaths are under 50. Okay, look at the mortality rate. The mortality rate's under 10%. It's probably a lot closer to 2%. Let's zoom in one more time. Let's go to 7. Let's go to 8-1. Let's go to 8-1. Okay, cases again. Deaths, we got these problems with these deaths down here. Sorry, I don't buy it. Okay, that's a minus 40. Okay, but you can see, look, the deaths are under 30. And it dropped back down here. On average, the deaths are about 15. Mortality rate, well, here's 3%. So it's under 3%. Here's 2%. So right now, New Jersey's mortality rate is under 2%, even with an increase in cases, even with an increase in cases and deaths. Of course, you have to remember that mortality rate is the ratio between cases and deaths or deaths and cases. So if cases go up and deaths don't go up proportionally or don't go up at all, then the mortality rate is going to drop. So that's probably the problem with mortality rate. It may not tell you what you want to know, but anyway, it is a litmus test. It is sort of a quick measure of the impact of COVID-19 deaths and cases, in this case in New Jersey. If you're from New Jersey, if you know someone from New Jersey, share this report with them. They'll get some encouraging news by seeing this, I'm absolutely sure. You know someone in New York, share this report with them, okay? In Ohio, yeah, I share this all the time with my friends in Ohio, but listen, you know what? The second point about this was I wanted to show you how simple it is to do your own reports. And I want to encourage you to go to the link and download the data and try and make some reports yourself, okay? Thanks so much for your time. Catch you on the next report.